going to be about these bad boys. These are a couple of fall kits from Colourpop. This one here is called Persuade Me, and it is a Lippie stick collection. And this one is called Love Flare, and it is an eyeshadow collection. So I'm gonna be going through each of these. I'll show you swatches. I will tell you guys my thoughts. And then at the very end of the video, I'm going to show you how I got this look right here. If there's only one specific part of this video that you wanna see or you wanna skip around, I'm gonna leave timestamps in the description box down below. That way, if you don't care about my thoughts and you just wanna see the makeup look, then you can just click that timestamp in the description box and it'll take you right where you want to go. So each of these kits cost $25 and they each come with 6 eyeshadows and 6 Lippie sticks. So the eyeshadow collection here has 2 different finishes. There are 4 mattes and 2 pearlized finishes. And the Lippie stick collection, all of these Lippies in here are Matte X. They are the Matte X formula by Colourpop. And of course, you can only purchase these on the Colourpop website, which I will leave linked in the description box. I am gonna go ahead and start off with the eyeshadow collection. This is what it looks like. You get 6 eyeshadows in here. Like I said, 4 of them are matte, 2 of them are pearlized. And I would also describe both of the pearlized finishes as duochrome. They have a little bit of a different color shift to them, which I think is really cool. If you've never tried Colourpop eyeshadows before, I definitely recommend them. If you buy them individually, they're $5 each. And you get 6 eyeshadows in this collection, and the collection is $25, making it a good deal because it's kind of like getting 1 eyeshadow for free. And same with the Lippie sticks, they're $5 each, and you get 6 in here, so you pretty much get 1 for free. Also, you are able to purchase all of these eyeshadows and all of these Lippie sticks separately. So if there's one shade that really pops out to you, but you don't want to spend $25 on the whole kit, you are able to purchase just that 1 eyeshadow or lipstick. So I personally really love the shade range in here. So it is really easy to create an eye look using just what's in here. I am very impressed with the pigmentation on these eyeshadows. I had never tried a matte eyeshadow from Colourpop before. I had only tried their pearlized metallic finishes, and I gotta say I am impressed with the pigmentation of the matte eyeshadows. Typically people on the internet seem to prefer their metallic pearlized finishes, like I said. I've always just heard that the matte eyeshadows are a little bit harder to work with, which I guess I agree to a certain extent. I do recommend using a synthetic brush no matter what finish of eyeshadow you're using, simply because Colourpop eyeshadows have a very moussey, creamy consistency. They are powder, but they feel so incredibly soft and buttery that they almost feel like a cream. And because they're so creamy, I find them to be really easy to blend and really easy to work with as well. I do have to work a little bit harder with the mattes, but all in all, I find them incredibly easy to blend out as long as I'm using a synthetic brush, like I said. One of the only real cons that I can think of when it comes to these eyeshadows is the packaging. I do not love the packaging, however, it's not a deal breaker by any means. I just find single eyeshadows a little bit harder to work with. I don't reach for these as often as I would reach for like a palette. And they're not a compact type of packaging. They are a little screw top. Not that that's a big deal, but I just thought that I would mention might be a deal breaker. For some people, it's not for me because the quality is so incredible, but I just thought I would mention that. I would also recommend when you're going in with a pearlized finish like this one is the shade Moonwalk. If you're going in with this all over your lid, I would recommend not setting your primer at least where you're putting this. I didn't do that today and it worked out pretty fine, but if you want that full opacity, I would sort of essentially use this to set your eye primer. Let me explain. A lot of the time when I'm doing my eyeshadow, I will prime my eyelids with my eyeshadow primer and then set my whole lid with a translucent powder or an eyeshadow that matches my skin tone in order to help blending later on. I wouldn't recommend leaving your lid eyeshadow primer unset or set it with this eyeshadow. When you go in with the cream to prime your eyelids and then you go in with the powder on top and then you go in with this powder on top, it can get a little bit patchy, just a little bit. So if you want that full opaque color on your lid, I would use this directly on top of your eye primer. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the swatches. I'm gonna be doing finger swatches as well as brush swatches. To do the brush swatches, I am going to be using my Avon concealer brush. That is the kind of brush that I recommend to use with Colourpop eyeshadows. They just really help you to get the full color payoff that you're looking for. And in between each swatch, I'm gonna be cleaning my brush on my little sock bun spongy thingy dingy that I got from Walmart for like $2. It's similar to the Veramona color switch. I've never tried that, so I can't tell you that it works the exact same, but it works just fine nonetheless. I'm gonna be using that to clean my brushes in between each swatch. That way the brush won't be wet or damp in any way, so that it won't affect the pigment or the color payoff of the eyeshadow. Also, I wanna apologize for my hand. My hand started to get really red and splotchy toward the end. It just gets worse and worse with every clip. There's like red splotches on my hands. Please ignore that, sorry. So if you wanna see swatches of all the colors in the Love Flare collection by Colourpop, then just keep on watching.
Bound only by frozen memories. Lost, it's time. Racing on these broken dreams tonight.
All right, so let's move on to the Lippie Stix. This is the Persuade Me collection. It's spelled persuade like suede, like the material suede. So this is what the packaging looks like. I think it's absolutely stunning. Comes with 6 Matte X Lippie Stix. Let me just start off by saying that I love this formula. I'm wearing one on my lips right now. This is the shade Daydream on my lips. These are so incredibly matte. So incredibly matte. I don't own any of the regular matte formula by Colourpop, but they always had matte Lippie Stix, and then several months ago they came out with the Matte X formula. It's basically like the matte formula, just matter. They're like really matte. Like, I feel like it looks like I'm wearing a liquid lipstick. Do you guys think so? So let me start off by saying I love how pigmented these are. I love how comfortable they are on the lips. I don't feel like I'm wearing anything on my lips. When it comes to the lighter shades, at least in this collection, they glide on so beautifully. There's no tugging or anything. I was almost shocked the first time that I swiped one on my lips. It was so creamy. However, when it comes to the darker shades, especially this shade right here in Le Freak, one of my favorite shades by the way, the darker shades do tug. Not too severely, but it's definitely noticeable. They definitely tug. Also, with how pigmented this shade in particular is, Le Freak, it was kind of hard to get a precise line. So I might recommend using a lip liner with these. I do really love this shade. It just tugs a little bit more than the lighter colors, making it maybe a little bit more dry, but if that doesn't bother you, it's a really beautiful color. And that's also something that I tend to notice in lots of other brands, maybe in the range of one type of lip color like this. They can be the same formula, they're all matte X, but the darker shades tend to be a little bit drier. I noticed that in a lot of different companies, a lot of different lines of lip products. So darker colors must just be harder to make, or there's something a little bit different about the pigment, so that the formula is a little bit messed up. I don't know, I don't make makeup, I'm just saying, I noticed that a lot. So they're very pigmented, they're very opaque. The lighter colors glide on much easier than the darker colors. But with that being said, I didn't notice any patchiness with the darker colors. I just noticed them being a little bit drier and a little bit harder to apply. Another pro about the Lippie sticks, they're cheap. They're also $5. That's incredibly affordable, and I think it's totally worth it. I totally would spend $5 on every single matte X Lippie stick from Colourpop. So I have only tried the sheer formula and the matte X formula, and I do prefer the matte X formula, but that's just me. I think that they're a little bit more pigmented, obviously, because I mean, the sheer formula is not as pigmented as the matte X formula. The only real downside that I can come up with when it comes to these shades, this kit in particular, is that I find that a lot of the shades in here are pretty freaking similar. Not a lot of the shades, like a few of the shades, in my opinion, look incredibly similar to each other. They are different, but I don't know, they just seem a little bit similar to me, and you will see in the swatches. So all in all, I definitely recommend the Matte X Lippie Sticks by Colourpop. They're only $5. They're so incredibly pigmented. They don't feel dry to me. These are definitely a lot less drying than liquid lipsticks. And one last thing regarding the Lippie Sticks. I don't like to sound negative, but I really, truly, really don't like this color. Just this color is disappointing to me. I just think I don't like this color on my skin tone. I have very fair skin. This is in the shade Upside Down. It's sort of like an almost neon. It doesn't look very much so on camera, but it's almost like a pastel neon, peachy orange color. And it kind of accentuated the lines in my lips, and I don't like the way that this looks against my skin tone. And you'll see that in the lip swatches. It feels like it has the same formula. It feels like it glides on nicely, just like the other lighter shades, like I had mentioned. It's just this color I do not like on my skin tone, just being honest. But when you think about it, you get 6 for $25, so it's kind of like I got this one for free, so I didn't really pay for it, kind of, you know what I mean? So with that being said, I do not like the shade Upside Down. I do not recommend it, but if you have fair skin like me, you'll be able to see in the lip swatches, and you can decide for yourself whether or not it's a color you want to spend your money on. So all in all, I definitely recommend these Matte X Lippie Sticks by Colourpop. They're incredibly pigmented. I didn't experience any patchiness, maybe just a little bit of tugging on the darker shades. But all in all, I definitely do recommend them. So, forewarning, some of these swatches are really not pretty. The shade La Freak, like I said, is really dark, and it's the 3rd shade in here. I swatched them in order, and after I put on this La Freak shade, it sort of stained around my lips. It's not that it really stained it or it would have been really hard to take off. It's just that if I wanted to take off the red staining on the outside of my mouth, I would have had to take off my foundation, and I just was not about that life because I had already powdered. It was a little bit of a hot mess. So excuse the way that the swatches look. I'm really sorry that some of them toward the end are really messy, but nonetheless, you can still see the color of each of them. So if you want to see some swatches of the Matte X Lippie Sticks that come here in this Persuade Me kit by Colourpop, then just keep on watching.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll turns to sun rays, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon. Turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go.
And there you have it. So that was my thoughts and some swatches on a couple of fall kits by Colourpop. All in all, I definitely recommend both of these kits, especially considering it's somewhat of a bundle deal. You get 6 for $25 instead of $30. So last but not least, if you want to see how I got this look that I'm wearing right now, then just keep on watching. All right, so to go ahead and start off this look, I'm going to be filling in my eyebrows. I'm using the shade Charmed, I'm sure, from the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, and I'm just gonna fill in my eyebrows pretty freaking thick. And then I'm gonna use a really thick, creamy, pigmented concealer to sort of carve out the shape of them and also prime my eyes at the same time. And then I'm going to set them using my L'Oreal Brow Stylist Plumper in the shade Medium to Deep. And then to carve out the top of my eyebrows, I'm going to use the Revlon Photo Ready Concealer in the shade Fair. Now to prime my face, I'm using my Too Faced Hangover RX Primer. And then to further prime, I'm using my Maybelline Baby Skin in the areas where I have a little bit larger pores. And then I'm using that same Revlon concealer to conceal all my blemishes all over my face. And then for foundation, of course, I'm using my L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte in the shade 101 Classic Ivory. And for concealer, of course, I'm using my Maybelline Fit Me in the shade 15 Fair. And I'm setting all of that as per usual with my RCMA No Color Powder. Now for eyes, I'm using the shade I Spy. And I'm gonna go ahead and buff this into my crease, slowly building up that color. And now I'm taking the shade Head Rush, and I'm gonna pack this on my outer corner. And then going into High Rise, I'm gonna pack this on my outer corner as well, but not quite as far in towards my lid as I did with the first shade. And then just sort of blend those together, blend out those harsh lines. Now I'm taking the shade Moonwalk, and I'm gonna use my finger to place this all over my eyelid. Now I'm going back in to High Rise and deepening that out. Now I'm taking the shade By My Side, and I'm gonna use that as a little pop of color in the inner corner. Now I'm taking my Colourpop Creme Gel Liner in the shade Exit, and I'm using that as a base color in my waterline. And then I'm gonna go over top of that with the shade Melrose. And then I'm also buffing that Melrose shade on the very outer edge of my lower lash line. And now for eyeliner, of course, I'm using my NYC liquid eyeliner in the shade Extreme Black. And for mascara, I'm using my Revlon Volume Plus Length Magnified Mascara. Moving on to the face, I'm going to use my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the shade Bronzer and a big old fluffy powder brush, pretty much, to bronze up my face. Now I'm switching to this contour brush by Real Techniques and my NYX contour kit, and I'm going to use that to further define my cheekbones. I'm going to bronze out the sides of my nose a little bit, my temples and the forehead, as I always do. For blush, I'm using the Wet n Wild Color Icon blush in the shade Rosé Champagne. I have been using this so much recently. I could not get enough of this blush. I love the color, and I love that there's a little bit of a sheen to it. For highlights, I'm using Colourpop Lunch Money and my Real Techniques setting brush, and just placing that on the high points of my cheekbones. Now I'm taking a little bit of that same highlighter and plopping it on my brow bone. And to set everything in place, I'm using my L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Setting Spray. Is it called Pro Matte? I don't know, the L'Oreal one. Now for lips, I'm using the Matte X Lippie Stick in the shade Daydream. Alright you guys, so that completes this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos of mine, and I will see you next time. Alright, don't hit the table that my camera's on.
Dang.
Honey!
Hi.
Oh. You are able to perch? Honey? Maybe you could take the dog for a WALK. Did you just laugh at me? Kaiser James, get out of the trash can now. Alright you guys, so that completes this video. Maybe I shouldn't be correcting my knuckles while I'm talking. You just covered my leg.
Sorry.
And then you got in the background when you did that. Yeah, you're the cutest dog I've ever seen in my life. Let me get this. Let me get this. Let me get this. You want to make your second appearance on Mama's YouTube channel? Why is my finger already like all red? I do believe that that is all that I have to say about the eyeshadow. So if you want to... So with that being said, I do not recommend the shade Upside.
Really natural on my eyes.
Brat.
Okay.
They're $25 box.
Bernie, what's wrong? It's true. Answer it. Hello?
What was that?
I draw that me, so I draw like him.
I had literal notes written out for this video.
In this one to the grave, in the show you that I know you won't tell what I said, 'cause two can't get the secret if one of them is dead.
Yeah. Wow. I don't accept your apology. You need to go. For the sake of...